Hello, hello. Hey, everybody. Come on in. Thank you for joining us. Welcome to the Brooklyn Rails Wednesday afternoon reading series. We've got a terrific reading for you today. This is the, what is this? The 128th of these poetry readings. This one is curated by Noa Mendoza, and we're grateful to Noa and to the readers Noa's invited, including Alexis Almeida, a.Monti, Cecilia, Pavón, and Violeta, Sticotti. I will introduce the readers as we move along, but first I'll just say a couple things. For those of you who have not been to one of these readings, you might pay attention to the chat as we go along. As each reader comes on, there'll be some information posted, links to their various works and endeavors, so you can find more about what they're up to. And there'll be some information on the Rail also. I'm the poetry editor for the Brooklyn Rail, and also work on this series with our terrific staff. Even though it is still March 29th, the April issue has gone live with the new poetry section, so you might take a look at that later. This is also the 777th episode of the newly socialized atmosphere series the Rail does every day, other than Saturdays and Sundays when they make us do other things. I will now begin to turn things over to the readers. We're first going to hear from Noa and Violeta, so I'll introduce them. Noa, writer and translator Noa Mendoza, is based in Brooklyn. Their first chapbook of poetry and experimental translation, fantasy radio/radio phantasmal, is forthcoming through Wendy's Subway. Violeta Sticotti is a writer born and based in Buenos Aires. Her first book, La Forma del Rio, was published by Trench Editions in 2020. Her work also will appear in fantasy radio phantasmal, forthcoming through Wendy's Subway. Please welcome Noa and Violeta.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. Before I start, I just want to thank Alexis and Cecilia and Monty so much for being here. Cecilia's book was the reason that I went to Buenos Aires. I found your book, Dalia Luna, in a bookstore in San Francisco. And I loved it so much, and it was why I met Violeta and Alexis. I so admire your translation work so much, and your poetry too. And Monty was one of my first poet friends when I moved to Brooklyn, so I'm just so grateful for a community right now. Okay, so we're going to start our intimate dialogues now. Some things I know before I go. I am a harsh critic and an open stomach. I am harshest to the inside of the world, to my relations, to art. Come over for breakfast, we'll wake, eat hot. Come over for dinner, I have a room of cold, it holds. I'm interested in cycle, to eat again. What happens not only in the night, but in the morning. If I say you, I will eat you. If I say you, you are the afternoon. If I mean it, it becomes you. I live in New York. I miss and I miss. I go with these certainties. I call them languages.
Algunas cosas que sé antes de irme. Soy una crítica dura y un estómago abierto. Soy más dura hacia el interior del mundo, hacia mis relaciones, hacia el arte. Vení para desayunar, nos despertamos, comer, calor. Vení para la cena, tengo un cuarto de frío, sostiene. Me interesan los ciclos, comer de nuevo. No solo lo que pasa a la noche, sino a la mañana. Si digo vos, te como a vos. Si digo vos, vos sos la tarde. Si lo digo en serio, se convierte en voz. Vivo en Nueva York, extraño y extraño. Voy con estas certezas, las llamo lenguaje. Ya sonó la alarma. Me encantan los cascabeles y el café americano, o sea, bien aguado. Me gusta que podamos escuchar cuando está llegando un animal porque oímos el sonido de un cascabel que cuelga de un collar en su cuello. Cuando vivía con mi mamá, ella fumaba cigarrillos Marlboro en el baño, tiraba las cenizas en el bidet. El dinero es una religión, el romance es enemigo de la poesía. Quiero estar lejos de mis enemigos y cerca del romance con la poesía. Ahora estoy en la montaña, cerca de un arroyo, cerca de una serpiente que vimos ayer en su casa, un hueco en la tierra. Vimos cómo su cuerpo, largo como un tubo, se perdía por un agujero de profundidad desconocida. Siempre alguien se pone mis sandalias. Me paro, miro alrededor y no encuentro mis sandalias. Cuando miro más allá, otra persona las tiene puestas. Se ve que son muy cómodas, mis sandalias verdes, de goma, las amo. Este es el segundo par que tengo. Las primeras duraron 6 años, así que hace relativamente poco, sin todavía haber comprado el segundo par, decidí tirarlas en el incinerador de un edificio en una ciudad extranjera. Junté mucha basura en ese viaje, en una ciudad donde juntar basura es lo que más se puede hacer. Mi papá fumaba cigarrillos Marlboro y antes de prenderlo, a cada cigarrillo le cortaba la puntita con la mano para que el tabaco se ablande.
The alarm has sounded. I love bells and I love American coffee. I mean, nice and watery. I like that we can hear the sound of an animal approaching because of a little bell hanging from its collar. When I lived with my mom, she smoked Marlboros in the bath, ashed the cigarette into the bidet. Money is a religion. Romance is the enemy of poetry. I want to be far from my enemies and close to the romance with poetry. I'm here at the mountain near a creek, near a snake we saw circling back into its home, a hole in the ground. We saw how its body, long as a tube, lost itself in a hole, depth unknown. Someone is always putting on my sandals. I stand up and look around and I can't find my sandals. When I look a bit further over there, someone else is wearing them. Seems they're comfortable, my green sandals made of rubber. I love them. This is the second pair I have. So a little while ago, before I'd even bought a new pair, I decided to throw them in the incinerator of a building in a foreign city. I collected a lot of trash on that trip, in a city where collecting trash is what's most easily done. My dad smoked Marlboro cigarettes, and before lighting them, he cut the tip of each cigarette with his hand so that the tobacco would soften. Poem for the animal. The cat settles on me in our heat. I've taken to cradling a few things since you're leaving, most significantly the cat, who I hold like a severed head. There are 2 people fucking downstairs on the eve of one of their birthdays. Upstairs, the cat and I turn the dial, night. One comes up for water. Good night, Noah. They descend. I stay infinite as a palm. The room and I rot. I can't forget the children who bike up and down the block and spend their winter hunting rats at our stoop. They are in their brave childhood. The cat twitches in my arms. The present is an animal. I'm here too.
Poema para el animal. El gato se instala encima mío, con nuestro calor. Desde que te fuiste me acostumbré a sostener algunas cosas, sobre todo al gato, que sostengo como una cabeza cortada. Hay 2 personas cogiendo abajo, en la víspera de uno de sus cumpleaños. Arriba, el gato y yo sintonizamos el dial. Noche. Uno sube a buscar agua. Buenas noches, Noah. Descienden. Me quedo infinita como una palma. La habitación y yo nos pudrimos. No me puedo olvidar de los chicos que van y vienen por la cuadra en bicicleta y pasaron el invierno cazando ratas en nuestra entrada. Están en la época valiente de su infancia. El gato se retuerce en mis brazos. El presente es un animal. Yo también estoy acá. El burro, la cuerda y el sombrero. ¿En qué lugar estaba el mayor número de mis antepasados?, le pregunta el burro a su sombrero. Un puñado de sal, una cuerda gris, una soguita. La soga que sostiene al burro es de una longitud inimaginable, ancestral. Va hacia atrás y se cruza por adelante. Atraviesa el río de la Plata, trepa la montaña, se enrieda en un árbol y va al ras del piso, cubierta de tierra y polvo y espinas. Una vez me persiguió un caballo. Una vez tuve miedo de que el alambrado fuera eléctrico. Una vez bailé hasta el amanecer en un ritual umbanda. Una vez me enamoré de un chico de otro país, le contaba el burro a su sombrero. Una vez te pedí que me acompañes a ver los ciruelos, y el sombrero no respondía nada. Una vez había un campamento de pescadores al costado del río, balsas y ropa colgada de cuerdas. Levanté una roca con las patas y encontré 100 gusanos. Querido sombrero, agradezco tu fidelidad tan parecida a la fe. ¿Me acompañás a ver los ciruelos? Donde el diablo perdió su poncho, donde el oso rescató su
Where the
sombra,
bear rescued his shadow,
donde el pino cavó su tumba,
where the pine tree dug its grave,
donde el sol despunta,
where the sun rises,
donde el plumero canta,
where the feather duster sings,
donde el caracol no tuerce,
where the snail doesn't twist,
donde repito una y otra vez la misma canción,
where I repeat the same song again and again,
donde el polvo no miente,
where the dust doesn't lie,
donde se encuentra tu abuelo con el mío,
where your grandfather met mine,
donde no permitirás que las cosas ocurran de otra forma,
where you won't let things happen any other way,
donde al caballo se le suelta la cuerda,
where the horse's rope is loosened,
donde un fragmento del cielo se vuelve marrón,
where a fragment of sky turns brown,
donde el país es vecino,
where the country is a neighbor,
donde el texto es robado,
where the text is stolen,
donde el filo es de oro,
where the edge is gold,
donde el trago es filoso,
where the drink is sharp,
donde el esfuerzo es un alguacil,
where the effort is a bailiff,
donde el rincón encuentra su espacio,
where the corner finds room,
donde esperás que los músicos saquen el flautín y toquen una última canción,
where you wait for the musicians to take out their piccolo and play one last song,
donde la cigarra fuma su habano,
where the cigar smokes its Havana,
donde el sapo entierra la lengua,
where the toad buries his tongue,
donde el dragón descansa,
where the dragon resounds,
donde retumba la higuera,
where the fig tree rumbles,
donde las hormigas cruzan la cordillera,
where the ants cross the mountain range,
donde la montaña se acomoda la corbata,
where the mountain adjusts its tie,
donde el sombrero encuentra su ruta.
where the hat finds its root. America poem. Last winter, I used to buy cake from that bakery and freeze it for a fortnight. Even in the depths of it, the moon must finish luminously. This makes Elle laugh. That's good. We're on a walk. I'm late to work. I'm always late as a bird dressed in white. There's the corner where the people who've lost it are very loving to each other. I pull Elle away from the smoking tin. It's important to be somebody saving something. Seasonally, objects shake their memory. Cars lose their windows, people lose their windows, trees too. No snow this year. The end, it's dry as night. Cobwebs on the balconies, people dirty and filled. I'll call this America poem, and it is. Elle tells me I never want to see you see fresh snow. It would fester in me. When I was a teacher, I learned to instruct children. When you take something from someone, look at the person, not the object.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
We'll pass it back
I wanted
to Angela.
I wanted to say thanks to Noa for making this beautiful reading, inviting all of us. It's very special because we always work together in the same doc, kind of, and we write to each other things, and sometimes we translate each other's work, but sometimes it's not like a direct translation, but maybe I think sometimes I steal her poems and like make my own poem based on what she wrote, and that's not like a translation itself. It's like more like a distortion of that. So I think this reading is kind of like a, I don't know, in honor to all of that. And thank you everyone for being here, and Cecilia and Alexis, Monty.
Thank you. Thank you, Violeta. Thank you both so much. And now we'll hear from a.Monti, cross-disciplinary poet based between Berlin and Brooklyn. a.Monti works with vowels and wormholes. Their projects alternate between performance, sound, translation, and collaboration. Monty's poetry collection, Mycelial Person, from Vegetarian Alcoholic Press, was published in 2021 and has been adapted for radio as Spore Radical at Montez Press Radio. They are an editor with Litmus Press and are currently working on a new radio play. Please welcome a.Monti to the Rail Reading Series.
Hi, thank you so much for curating this amazing group of voices, Noah. If there's glitches in my reading, we're glitching now. But then it's part of the reading. I guess let's just make it part of the reading. So just a little warning. Okay, I'm gonna from a new manuscript. One, in the presence of an event or in its absence, here, it wash over you, here. Two, the painter was born in an orbiting room and wanted to offer some love and understanding. The painter and I shared the same O-shaped destiny. The painter was said to churn out beauty in a coven of butchers, stones, and angels who saw upon the surface of time eddies and things that reversed or simply started again and again, readier now. The painter was said to swerve each time an experience was had, paints bursting out new cubbyholes of blue, yellow, and purple brine. The light held the painter's feet. It was warm. Put your elbow here. No, not here, here. Where earth is handsome and magnetic. Oh, here I am. Oh, here I shall be. Three. Oh, they sing, given the gift of holes. Oh, they sing, only one mouth of places to see that the insides and the outsides are ending. Four. I heard soft singing from behind the bread aisle. I held up a sourdough loaf to my face. Was it the yeast gathering as a chorus? I shined the shelves and found a webbed tent. Many legs were peeking out, swaying to and fro with the rhythm of the music. I crawled into the tent. The light was warm and willing to hold my hand. I entered and saw all the pollen and the bacteria socialized in the dust. My own skin crumbled away to join them in the dirt. It was so hot and my neck was swelling, and this is what it must have been like to bulge into soft bread. The tent was made of thick cork-like material, and I learned this from the creature who was emitting vibrations from their body. How come you live here? I asked the creature, and the creature quietly shook its answer through its many limbs. And then the creature adjusted the volume on the radio to make it louder, and I wondered if other customers at the bakery would hear. Oh my gosh, I disappeared. Hi, here I am again with my video. Cool. That just happened. Wow, what spirits did that? Anyway, 5. There once was a lighthouse who filed a request. I want to be painted in flower blue when my time comes. The world will change until one day I too am full of bears and wolves and foxes and hedgehogs and worms and bellies of cats and beetles and worms and bellies of beetles and wolves and eyes of foxes and those without eyes. Am I still here? 6. Scientists all over the world wondered how the light could travel in the absence of matter. The light did not walk on its belly, and the light did not make itself an apron. The light just forged a spoon out of your path, out of your path, out of your path. 7. I want to be painted in cornflower blue when my time comes, the lighthouse said. 8. The veranda had been built by the translator. No one can remember this anymore because undulating, sometimes color, often light, into waves, into rain, into the sound of flesh, violins and organs. It was around the time that my heart was beating too slow, and they told me that they would call to make another appointment, but they never called and I couldn't get through to the reception. And so all of summer I walked around with a very slow heart. I sold ice cream, I stole supplements, I asked people to write letters saying that I was a great poet, an important poet, and I was trying to be polyamorous with my partner at the time. And I wanted to know love, but I was tired and I worked all the time, and everyone their partners at the time. And every once in a while, I felt the earth pump beneath me in a single brush stroke, and it said deeper. It said slower. It asked, who do you want to be? Where do you want to go? Oh, baby, oh. And so it's no wonder that sometimes it is forgotten how once there was a translator who built this veranda with its sky-colored tiles, its slippery stones, barely visible to the naked eye. I mean, oh. And before you know it, the direction is made known in the interior castle of collective movement of bards. Before you know it, dazzling obscurity. Before you know it, whispering silence. And before you know it, a teeming desert. Painter rode the multicolored gondola skyward, basking in the luxury of artificial light. How does it work? Asked the translator. Most of all, said the painter, it's about and forgetting and getting to remember to forget that lines appear according to where I place the brush. Um, 11. The painter was floating in ice cold water. Shadows crouch on their naked belly in front of them, folded figures, a marbled piece of meat, a vessel, steam. Memories form an elusive puzzle that shift every time, learning to press into my left. Open my legs, I let them regard me in the steam to be found. Wow. I met the woman of eBay and took her apples and her pears and her bananas. Eat me, said the boats. No, said the lighthouse. No. Thank you so much. I hope you could hear.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Monty. And now I will introduce Alexis Almeida and Cecilia Pavón, who will be reading separately and together. Alexis Almeida is the author of I Have Never Been Able to Sing from Ugly Duckling Presse, and most recently the translator of Dalia Rosetti's Dreams and Nightmares from Figues, and co-translator of Carlos Soto Román's 11 from Ugly Duckling Presse. Also, her poems, prose, translations, and interviews have recently appeared in Fence, Oversound, Bomb, the Poetry Project newsletter, and elsewhere. She teaches at the Bard Microcollege at the Brooklyn Public Library and edits 18 Owls Press. Cecilia Pavón was born in Mendoza, Argentina in 1973. She has a degree in literary theory from Universidad de Buenos Aires. In 1999, Cecilia co-founded the independent art space and small press Belleza y Felicidad. She has published more than 10 books of poetry and short stories in Argentina, Mexico, Brazil, Chile, and Uruguay. She's been translated into English in the volumes Little Joy from Semiotext, A Hotel with My Name from Scrambler Books, Licorice Candles, also from Scrambler Books, and Belleza y Felicidad from Sandpaper Press, and also into French, Bonbon à la Nuit, which is out this year, and she runs Microcentral, a nomadic space dedicated to poetry readings that organizes workshops and readings throughout different cities. Please welcome Cecilia and Alexis to the Rail reading.
Thank you, Anselm. And thank you, everybody. This reading has been so beautiful. I am so excited to read with all of you and to read with Cecilia, especially who I met when I lived in Buenos Aires and who I've been in touch with over the years and whose work I love. So we're going to do something where I'm just going to read a few poems. Well, I'll start with the poem and then Cecilia is going to read her translation of the poem and we'll just go that way. So yeah, I'll read a few poems from a book in progress called Caetano, and yeah, and then I'll end with a poem that kind of echoes a poem of Cecilia's, but we'll let you know when we get there. So there's the question of what we do together. How will we make enough time? How will we carry all the bags? Who will keep the door open? How could the train go any slower? Who will water the spider plants? Who will remember the names of the eider ducks and the ox? Who will put their hands against the grate of a radiator? Who will protect the young? Who will hold a bowl over the body to bathe it? Who will swim across the canal? Who will decriminalize poverty? Who will chop the broccoli? Who will hear the crickets sing? Who will sense the rain coming? Who will walk down the same hallway over and over? Who will breathe into their own hands? Who will feel the earth move? Who will shake the empty box? Who will see the sentence lighting up?
Sorry, I forgot I was mute. There I go. Sin título. Está el tema de lo que hacemos juntos. ¿Cómo haremos para tener suficiente tiempo? ¿Cómo llevaremos todos los bolsos? ¿Quién mantendrá la puerta abierta? ¿Cómo podría ser el tren para ir más despacio? ¿Quién regará los lazos de amor? ¿Quién recordará los nombres de los patos Eider y de las alcas? ¿Quién pondrá las manos contra la rejilla de un radiador? ¿Quién protegerá a las crías? ¿Quién sostendrá un cuenco sobre el cuerpo para bañarlo? ¿Quién cruzará a nado el canal? ¿Quién despenalizará la pobreza? ¿Quién picará el brócoli? ¿Quién oirá cantar a los grillos? ¿Quién presentirá la llegada de la lluvia? ¿Quién caminará por el mismo pasillo una y otra vez? ¿Quién respirará en sus propias manos? ¿Quién sentirá que la tierra se mueve? ¿Quién agitará la caja vacía? ¿Quién verá la frase iluminarse?
Some Nightmares for Louis Warsh. It was still alive. Watching the curve of my eyeball, the child mistook color for thunder and rain. I turned toward the window by force of habit, watched a house burn down, and did a poetry reading the same night. Something I wrote in 1973, I said. When the loud sounds are coming down from the sky, there is a little bird there attached and laughing. I always follow you. In the road leading out to the ocean, I've never been cold in a dream. False contractions and an empty sweater, not yet. What the field needed was the feeling of feeling free. My dad is in a toll booth and it's filling with smoke. His parents are dead and the streets are living and our bodies are sewn together. Now replaced by music, your voice makes a triumphant stomp and leaves an overcoat in snow. A Russian subway, but I don't stop at your address. I phrase the word as it drops and I wake up. You look tired like a baby. Static forms we fall in love with again and again. Who looks at me from above? Is it your eyes or mine? Outside voices cover everything we see. Words are in the song and fireworks plunge down. Still embarrassed to say it, what I might have done and will, and no brief tree sound and no singer to make it seem true. So I turned and found another way to enter.
Algunas pesadillas para Lewis Warsh. Aún estaba viva, observando la curva de mi globo ocular. El niño confundió el color con el trueno y la lluvia. Me volví hacia la ventana por la fuerza de la costumbre. Vi una casa arder y organicé una lectura de poesía la misma noche. Algo que escribí en 1973, dije. Cuando los sonidos fuertes bajaban del cielo, había un pajarito ahí pegado riéndose. Siempre te sigo. En el camino que lleva al océano, nunca he tenido frío en un sueño. Falsas contracciones y un suéter vacío. Falta. Lo que el campo necesitaba era la sensación de sentirse libre. Mi padre está en un peaje y se está llenando de humo. Sus padres están muertos y las calles están vivas y nuestros cuerpos están cocidos. Sustituida por la música, tu voz hace un pisotón triunfal y deja un sobre todo en la nieve. Un metro ruso, pero no me detengo en tu dirección. Fraseo la palabra mientras cae y me despierto. Pareces cansado como un bebé. Formas estáticas de las que nos enamoramos una y otra vez. Quien me mira desde arriba son tus ojos o los míos. Voces ajenas cubren todo lo que vemos. Las palabras están en la canción y los fuegos artificiales caen en picada. Todavía me da vergüenza decirlo, lo que podría haber hecho y lo que haré, y ningún sonido breve de árbol, ningún cantante que lo haga parecer verdad. Así que di la vuelta y encontré otra forma de entrar.
Thank you, Cecilia. I love hearing these in Spanish so much. Cohen told me to make a list of places I want to go. I saw a covered car and returned to a picture. There was a long flat hill with some lines cut out. The flowers were there, the lake wasn't. I still saw it. I touched her love and felt brave. Fell asleep on this train, rushed to see Canada before love dies. It seems I should move, go forward, but what is this heat? Defeat can be sweet. Pressed 12 ears of corn to my hands to make cake. cake. I could eat raspberries and say, I love you. I have a son now. He has a giraffe that flies. Walk around with us and you might see a cattail spin or a stone open. It's the way I've learned to listen, how I am. The scratching is actually a bird singing. The singing is a bush I might sleep inside. In a dream, I can see through you all the way to the southern coast of Spain. Is projection language? What is energy? What's the difference between a poem and a dream? You can write all over one, and when no one's looking, the other still goes on.
Joan me dijo que hiciera una lista de los lugares a los que quiero ir. Vi un auto tapado con una tela y volví a una foto. Había una larga colina plana con algunas líneas recortadas. Las flores estaban, el lago no estaba, pero igual lo vi. Toqué el amor de ella y me sentí valiente. Me dormí en este tren, prisa por ver Canadá antes de que muera el amor. Parece que debería moverme, ir adelante, pero ¿qué es este calor? La derrota puede ser hermosa. Apreté 12 mazorcas de maíz contra mis manos para hacer una torta. Podría comer frambuesas y decir te quiero. Ahora tengo un hijo. Tiene una jirafa que vuela. Venía a pasear con nosotros y quizás veas un junco girar o una piedra abrirse. Es la forma en que aprendí a escuchar. Es como soy. Ese ruido de rasguños es en realidad el canto de un pájaro. El canto es un arbusto. Puede que duerma adentro. En un sueño puedo ver a través de vos todo el camino hasta la costa sur de España. Es lenguaje de proyección. ¿Qué es la energía? ¿Cuál es la diferencia entre un poema y un sueño? Podés escribir sobre uno y cuando nadie mira el otro, sigue.
I'm just going to read one poem from a new long poem called Things I Have Made a Fiction. Sorry for all this noise. I live on Eastern Parkway and it's like so loud. So yeah, this is just called, this is the first poem in this sequence. I wrote a book where I tried to make sense of my life, or where I tried to distinguish my life from my dreams, because in the moments just after waking, my dream life and my waking life were starting to feel confused. In the past few years, while I tried to write my dreams down, I would often do this as an effort not to lose them. But when I turned to my waking life, it felt like certain things were still becoming lost, though maybe not in the same way. For example, when I turned toward my life, I felt the weight of something behind me in almost everything I did. Not just because I was beginning to move away from my dreams, but because there was a quality in my days that made moving feel different. There was an edge I had not anticipated when I walked. When I pulled a piece of bright fabric over my head, or when I went to visit a friend walking across the park, I thought these small things would never feel the same after the past 3 years. When I wrote down a dream in the morning, I was also writing down a question about the past, though the future was where it mostly landed. And when I thought of the future, I didn't know where to look, so I sometimes closed my eyes. I thought in the small period of time it took to render the dream into writing, there was a horizon I could feel that made my body more awake. And through this, I could say things more freely, and that moved in many directions simultaneously. So when I said past and future, for example, they would in their trajectory often touch. I imagine other words here too, like first, seemed to stick because it was so funny. How could something have been the first time? So in the book, I tried to remember them, like the first time I saw slow motion in a movie, which happened yesterday when someone described the first scene of Alexis. And in trying not to lose these moments, I thought I could also direct a wish outward. And the pages came faster than they had in a while. And though I felt I should keep going until I had exhausted something, I also felt I was done.
De cosas que he hecho, una ficción. Escribí un libro en el que intentaba dar sentido a mi vida, o en el que intentaba distinguir mi vida de mis sueños, porque en los momentos inmediatamente posteriores al despertar, mi vida onírica y mi vida de vigilia empezaban a confundirse. En los últimos años, mientras intentaba anotar mis sueños, lo hacía a menudo como un esfuerzo para no perderlos, pero cuando volvía hacia mi vida de vigilia tenía la sensación de que ciertas cosas seguían perdiéndose, aunque quizás no de la misma manera. Por ejemplo, cuando me dirigí hacia mi vida sentí el peso de algo detrás de mí en casi todo lo que hacía, no solo porque empezaba a alejarme de mis sueños, sino porque había una cualidad en mis días que hacía que moverme se sintiera diferente. Había un borde que no había previsto cuando caminaba. Cuando me ponía un trozo de tela brillante sobre la cabeza, o cuando iba a visitar a un amigo caminando por el parque, pensaba que estos pequeños gestos nunca volverían a sentirse igual después de los últimos 3 años. Cuando escribía un sueño por la mañana, también estaba escribiendo una pregunta sobre el pasado, aunque la mayoría de las veces aterrizaba en el futuro. Y cuando pensaba en el futuro no sabía dónde mirar, así que a veces cerraba los ojos. Pensé que en el pequeño periodo de tiempo que tardaba en plasmar el sueño por escrito, había un horizonte que podía sentir y que hacía que mi cuerpo estuviera más despierto, y a través de él podía decir las cosas con más libertad, y que se movían en muchas direcciones simultáneamente, de modo que cuando decía pasado o futuro, por ejemplo, muchas veces se tocaban en su trayectoria. Aquí también imaginé otras palabras, y la palabra primeras parecía pegarse porque era divertida. ¿Cómo podía hacer algo la primera vez? Así que en el libro intenté recordarlas, como la primera vez que vi la cámara lenta de una película, lo que ocurrió ayer cuando alguien describió la primera escena del eclipse, y al intentar no perder estos momentos pensé que también podía dirigir un deseo hacia afuera, y las páginas llegaron más rápido de lo que lo habían hecho en mucho tiempo, y aunque sentía que debía seguir hasta agotar algo, también sentía que había terminado.
Thank you. So this last one is called Some Things I Love, and I sent it to Cecilia and she was like, oh, I have a poem that's very similar. So I'll read mine and then she'll read her translation, and then I'll read her love poem and the translation, and then we'll go to her work. Some things I love. I love when I don't have to speak for days. I love not needing a towel because it's so hot. I love when I'm too tired to distrust my own mind, or when I'm awake long enough to know I need to sleep, at least a little food, or to stop obsessing over whatever it is I'm looking at. This way the intensity does not seem embarrassing or wasted, and I can just lay down among the clothes that have gathered in my bed. I love exhaustively digressive logic and a field in central Italy, I imagine, but that also exists. It was impossible to be there with you, and I love that memories are messageless. A voice can fade, but music replaces it. Someone remembers us in the morning, and they are there, and we are gone. I love that dew floats and settles, and that my son loved toast for weeks and now will not touch it, sucks the peanut butter off, and then throws it on the floor. I'm even being serious about that. It makes me laugh, and that laughing is like blood or naked air in my body. The scuffed floor seems almost soft, is moving. I love that several of my friends now have a more livable wage in New York City because of recent strikes, even if it feels sometimes more impossible to live here by the day. And that feeling does not go away. Even when I find ways to make more money or leave the city, maybe I just need to find a different way to live. Emily's wedding photos arrive from the future, and we all look so good. I love that weddings make me cry predictably when they are between people I love, though weddings in the abstract fill me with dread, that I can still share a hungover breakfast with a friend where I doubt my most steadfast beliefs. The restaurant will not send me away, and my friend will still love me, even if I am unbearable then. I love that I did math for years in school and have now forgotten it. Didn't really understand what calculus had to do with planets or the trajectory of continuous change. So much of high school felt like hell, but outside the streets sometimes did fill with singing, and flowers made a sound in the small house.
Algunas cosas que me encantan. Me encanta no tener que hablar durante días. Me encanta no necesitar una toalla porque hace mucho calor. Me encanta cuando estoy demasiado cansada para desconfiar de mi propia mente o cuando estoy despierta el tiempo suficiente para saber que necesito dormir, al menos un poco de comida o para dejar de obsesionarme con lo que sea que esté mirando. De esta forma la intensidad no parece vergonzosa o desperdiciada y puedo simplemente acostarme entre la ropa que se ha ido acumulando en mi cama. Me encanta la lógica exhaustivamente digresiva y un campo en el centro de Italia que imaginé, pero que también existe. Era imposible estar allí con vos y me encanta que los recuerdos no tengan mensaje. Una voz puede desvanecerse, pero la música la sustituye. Alguien nos recuerda por la mañana y está ahí y nosotros nos hemos ido. Me encanta que el rocío flote y se asiente, y que a mi hijo le encantara la tostada durante semanas y ahora no la toque, le chupe la mantequilla de maní y luego la tire al suelo. Y lo estoy diciendo en serio, me hace reír, y esa risa es como sangre o aire desnudo en mi cuerpo. El suelo rayado parece casi blando, se mueve. Me encanta que varios de mis amigos tengan ahora un salario más digno en la ciudad de Nueva York debido a las recientes huelgas, aunque a veces parezca más imposible vivir aquí cada día, y esa sensación no desaparece, aunque encuentre formas de ganar más plata o de irme de la ciudad. Quizás solo necesite encontrar una forma diferente de vivir. Las fotos de la boda de Emily llegan del futuro, y todos nos vemos tan bien. Me encanta que las bodas me hagan llorar previsiblemente cuando son entre personas a las que quiero. Aunque las bodas en abstracto me llenen de pavor, me encanta que aún pueda compartir un desayuno con resaca con un amigo en el que dudo de mis creencias más firmes. No van a echarme del restaurante y mi amigo me va a seguir queriendo, aunque en ese momento sea una persona insoportable. Me encanta haber hecho matemáticas durante años en el colegio y haberla olvidado ahora. No haber entendido realmente qué tenía que ver el cálculo con los planetas o la trayectoria del cambio continuo, por lo que gran parte de la secundaria me pareció un infierno. Pero afuera, las calles a veces estaban llenas de gente cantando, y las flores hacían ruido en la pequeña casa. Now I'm gonna read this poem that is called Me Encanta, which is kind of very similar to Alexis' poem, but it's another mood. And I just want to say something very quick is, well, thank you very much to Noa and to Brooklyn Rail, because I know Alexis from almost 10 years now. We've met in Buenos Aires, in New York, and I think it's really nice that we can share our work here, and that when I wrote all these texts I'm gonna read, I was a young mother, like what she is now. So I think it's a nice moment for her to read these translations and for me to remember that part of my life. Okay, I'm going to read Me Encanta. Me encanta. Me encanta llevar a mi hijo todos los días a la escuela. Me encanta limpiar la casa y comer frutas secas. Me encanta cepillar las remeras para sacar las manchas antes de meterlas en el lavarropas. Me encanta pasar el trapo por el piso de cerámica antes de mi taller de poesía. Me encanta ir a nadar a una pileta del barrio de Once. Me encanta tomar un café en un shopping mientras espero que mi hijo salga de un cumpleaños. Me encanta ver la tele por la noche. Me encanta leer una novela de César Aira que dice que la iluminación solo está en las cosas pequeñas.
I love taking my son every day to school. I love cleaning the house and eating dried fruit. I love combing the stains out of my shirt before putting them in the washing machine. I love running the mop over the ceramic floor before my poetry workshop. I love going swimming in the Once public pool. I love drinking coffee in the shopping mall while I wait for my son to get out of a birthday party. I love watching TV at night. I love reading Cesar Ira novels that say enlightenment only comes from small things.
Gracias. And now I'm going to read from some short fragments from this book called Once Sur, which I wrote when my son was 2 years, maybe Alexis' son age. So I'm gonna read from the book. So I will tell you, Alexis, the number. And okay. 1. Mudanza. Me voy a mudar a 11 Sur y voy a abrir un blog. Mi nuevo departamento tiene 2 árboles y un living rectangular. Desde ese living pretendo perderme en la hipnosis de la escritura. Observen que usé la preposición desde y no en, por lo que, según esta frase, escribir significaría entrar en otro espacio.
1. I'm going to move to Once Sur and I'm going to start a blog. My new apartment has 2 trees and a rectangular living room. From this living room, I attempt to lose myself in the hypnosis of writing. Notice that I use the preposition from rather than in, which means, according to the phrase, to write would mean enter into another space.
2. Hoy tuve una visita muy linda. Le agradecí. A la noche comí chocolates y traduje a un poeta japonés. Me encanta vivir en Buenos Aires. Solo quería decir eso.
2. Today I had a really nice visit. I'm grateful for it. At night, I ate chocolates and translated a Japanese poet. I love living in Buenos Aires. I only really want to say that.
4. Otoño. En internet encuentro rastros de personas que te aman. No sé quiénes son. Sus palabras e imágenes me llegan tenues, distorsionadas, incompletas. Signos que te nombran. Recojo esas pequeñas señales desde un cibercafé y las guardo en mi corazón. Algo haré con ellas, ahora o después.
Autumn. 4. On the internet, I find traces of people that love you. I don't know who they are. Their words and images reach me tenuously, distorted and incomplete. Signs that name you. I gather those small signals in an internet cafe and store them at its heart. I'll do something with them sooner or later.
8. Hace un mes que no tengo casa ni biblioteca, y hace un mes también que no leo. La lectura está relacionada con el silloncito y la sala de estar, con la estabilidad, con los libros alineados, con la mesita de luz. No leo y al no leer tampoco escribo. Es mentira que existe la escritura de la calle o todas sus ramificaciones como la escritura de la experiencia. Lo he comprobado durante este mes.
No traduje eso.
Ay, sorry.
No pasa nada.
Sorry, bueno, no importa, no pasa nada. Seguimos. 9. Bueno, igual todo se entiende en español. 9. Quiero viajar por todo el país en micro yendo a encuentros de poesía joven.
9. I want to travel all over the country by bus going to readings put on by young poets.
10. Hablando con algunas personas me he dado cuenta de que hay gente que considera alternativamente lo blando y lo duro como virtud o defecto. Ser duro o blando genera por parte de los duros que critican lo blando, sorna, y por parte de los blandos que critican lo duro, también sorna, pero una sorna más suave, más benévola, como la naturaleza misma del problema hace suponer. Habiendo tenido distintas conversaciones telefónicas con distintas personas que calificaron o descalificaron a otras personas de blandas o duras, he llegado a la conclusión de que soy de las que valoran lo blando y de que, más aún, sienten un entusiasmo que ronda la euforia por todo lo asociado con esa característica.
10. Talking to some people, I've realized that there are those who alternately consider softness and hardness as a virtue and a defect. To be hard or soft generates for the hard people who criticize the soft ones, sarcasm. And for the soft people that criticize the hard ones, also sarcasm, but A softer sarcasm, more benevolent as the very nature of the problem suggests. Having had distinct conversations by phone with distinct people who validate other soft or hard people, I've arrived at the conclusion that I am one of the ones that validates softness, and those who even more specifically feel an enthusiasm bordering on euphoria for everything associated with that characteristic.
13. Te amo por dejar en la web decenas de huellas de tu inclinación por mí.
Which one was it, Cecilia?
13.
Okay.
You
13, sorry.
Yes.
I love you for leaving dozens of footprints of your inclination for me on the internet.
15. Did you translate that?
15?
15, ok, 15, sí. Antes que la moda, las obras de arte y las ideas, me gustan las personas.
More than fashion, art, and ideas, I like people.
21. Rutina. Entre las 8 y las 8:30 se despierta el niño. La mamadera ya está lavada junto a la heladera. Colocar 250 centímetros cúbicos de leche y calentarla durante 1 minuto en el microondas con temperatura alta. El niño es sacado de la cuna y se le permiten entre 15 y 25 minutos de caminata libre por el living, durante los cuales se lo incita verbalmente a ingerir la leche. Con 17 meses ya sostiene el contenedor por sus medios. Cerca de las 9 se procede a vestirlo. Fase 1, 2 y 3. Fase 1, extracción del pañal antiguo. Fase 2, colocación del pañal nuevo. Fase 3, colocación de prendas de vestir. Fase 3A, colocación de body, prenda superior. Fase 3A, abrochado de body, parte cuello. Fase 3AB, abrochado body entrepierna. Fase 3B, colocación, pantalón. Fase 3C, calzado. Fase 3CA, colocación medias. Fase 3CB, colocación zapatos.
21, routine. Between 8 and 8:30, the baby wakes up. The bottle is already washed next to the refrigerator. Put 250 square centimeters of milk and warm it up for a minute in the microwave at high temperature. The baby is taken out of the crib for 15 to 25 minutes and walks around freely in the living room. During this time, he was encouraged verbally to swallow the milk. At 17 months, he can now hold the container himself. Around 7, he starts to be dressed. Phases 1, 2, and 3. Phase 1, removal of the old diaper. Phase 2, putting on of the new diaper. Phase 3, putting on some articles of clothing. Phase 3A, putting on the onesie. Phase 3AA, button the onesie around the back. Phase 3AB, button the onesie between the legs. Phase 3B, putting on the pants. Phase 3C, footwear. Phase 3CA, putting on the socks. Phase 3CB, putting on the shoes.
Era un chiste igual. It was a joke, that poem. Okay, and the last one, 27. Estoy tratando de escribir un poema sobre internet. Hice algunas notas sobre el impulso de escribir con lápiz los nombres de mis amigos en las puertas del placar y sobre la fascinación que de niña sentía por la palabra placar. No sé si las palabras tienen sonido en internet. La poesía tiene sobre todo que ver con el sonido, o al menos mucho que ver. ¿De qué sirve un poema en internet?
27. I'm trying to write a poem about the internet. I made a few notes about the impulse to write in pencil the names of my friends on closet doors and about my childhood fascination with the word closet. I don't know if words make a sound on the internet. Poetry, above all else, has to do with sound, or at least it has a lot to do with that. What purpose does a poem on the internet serve? Thank you.
That was from 2007 when we didn't listen to readings on the internet, so I'm lucky everything has changed. Okay. Thank you, Alexis.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thanks to everyone who read. Thank you, Noah, Violeta, Monty, Cecilia, Alexis. That was a terrific reading. The reading is recorded and will be up on the Rails events page in the next few days and on YouTube. So please feel free to circulate the link. And also I might have spaced this out at the beginning. The title of this reading is I Am Writing from a Place You Have Never Been. And thank you, Noah, for making this happen. Thank you all for coming, and maybe we can now throw the mics open and let everybody say hello and goodbye on their way out into the rest of the day or night and wherever you are.
Thank you so much. That was incredible.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
So
So
beautiful.
beautiful. That
Thank
was
you all
really
so
cool.
much.
Gracias.
Gracias. Muchas gracias.
A ti.